Hey everybody, David the AI Guide here. Welcome to another episode. Here at the AI Guide, we're making AI human. What does that mean? That means that we're going to focus on the human impact of AI and all the technologies that AI is enabling that are going to dramatically change life in the near future now. And it already is. So today's story is super cool. And it's about history and current stuff, which makes it really different than a lot of the episodes that we do. But before that, click those links below. Get my book on Amazon, The Beginner's Guide to AI, A Short History of AI and Current Impact on 10 Different Industries. And also the other link, free resources. Everything in the resource is free. You'll learn much more about AI than you can in these short videos. So be sure to get those resources, and thanks so much for tuning in. So cool article on nasa.gov fairly recently, not this week, but pretty recently, that talks about yet another breakthrough courtesy of NASA in AI and its uses. So here we go. NASA-enabled AI predictions may give time to prepare for solar storms. And you're going to trip out on some of this stuff. A new computer model that combines AI and NASA satellite data could sound the alarm for dangerous space weather. The model uses AI to analyze spacecraft measurements of the solar wind and predict where an impending solar storm will strike anywhere on Earth with 30 minutes advance warning. This is big stuff, and you will hear why in a minute or two. This could provide just enough time to prepare for these storms and prevent severe impacts on power grids and other critical infrastructure. So why is this important? Well, the sun is constantly shedding solar material into space. When this solar material strikes Earth's magnetosphere, it sometimes creates geomagnetic storms. For example, a destructive solar storm in 1989 caused blackouts in Quebec, Canada for 12 hours. The most intense solar storm on record, the Carrington event in 1859, sparked fires at telegraph stations and prevented messages from being sent. So I want to take a second to talk about the Carrington event, which is where history comes into this story. So this was the largest recorded solar flare. Now, scientific knowledge wouldn't have been at a point to understand what was happening with one of these prior to the 1800s, really. Why? Because everything was powered by candles, candlelight, or they would burn a fire to create steam, and the steam would drive locomotives. This is not long after the steam locomotive was invented, and steam-powered factory equipment. If this Carrington event were to happen today, we would be totally screwed. It would blow out most of the electricity, most of the data lines, the whole internet, and everything connected to it. Think about your computer, for example, or the Amazon cloud, for example. So check this out. Such technological chaos could cripple economies and endanger the safety and livelihood of people worldwide. No kidding. In addition, the risk of geomagnetic storms and devastating effects on our society is presently increasing as we approach the next solar maximum, a peak in the sun's 11-year activity cycle, which is expected to arrive in 2025. So the sun is on an 11-year cycle. We're nearing the peak of that cycle. And at the peak, there's much more risk of one of these severe geomagnetic storms. To help prepare, an international team of researchers at the Frontier Development Lab, a public-private partnership including NASA, the U.S. Geological Survey, and the U.S. Department of Energy, plus private companies, have been using AI to look for connections between the solar wind and these geomagnetic disruptions that cause havoc on our technology. There's a whole other aspect of this I'll talk about in a second. The researchers apply an AI method called deep learning, which trains computers to recognize patterns based on previous samples. So it trains computers with unlabeled data. That's deep learning. And deep learning recognizes patterns in data. But here's the whole other aspect of this. The next Artemis mission from NASA is in late 2024, early 2025, and then a year or so after that, they're going to attempt the first moon landing in over 50 years. Here's the thing. The moon is outside of the Earth's protective bubble, which means that if there's one of these solar storms, astronauts are directly exposed to radiation that's extreme. So being able to predict these things also will give astronauts time to seek shelter. Now, they have built into the Orion crew module a radiation shelter where all 4 astronauts can get in it and hunker down, and it's lead lined or whatever it is to prevent being seriously harmed by radiation. This is even more important on the 6-month journey to Mars, which is what it is once society gets to the point of sending people to Mars. So from this research, they developed a computer model called Dagger that can quickly and accurately predict geomagnetic disturbances worldwide 30 minutes before they occur. According to the team, the model can produce predictions in less than a second, and they're updated every minute. So this means that the frequency is high enough that there's always 30-minute warning of one of these solar events happening. Previous prediction models have used AI to produce local geomagnetic forecasts for specific locations on Earth, but not global. That's why this is a breakthrough. Dagger is the first one to combine the swift analysis of AI with real measurements from satellites in space and across Earth to generate frequently updated predictions that are both prompt and precise for all sites worldwide. This minimizes or prevents devastation to modern society. So this is huge. This is really huge. The computer code in the Dagger model is open source, which means other people can use it for predicting these events, and they specifically mention power companies and the power grid operators. So what does this allow people to do? Temporarily take sensitive systems offline or moving satellites to a different orbit, because satellites can get destroyed by these things too. With models like Dagger, there could one day be solar storm sirens that sound an alarm in power stations and satellite control centers around the world, just like there are warnings for tornadoes. In our electronic age that is entirely reliant on those electronics, this is beyond critical and a real breakthrough. Think of what would happen if the entire internet went down globally right now. You could not, by the way, these things would fry the electrics in modern cars. Ground transportation would stop. So no internet, no communication, cars and trucks don't work. Chaos very quickly. That's how big a breakthrough this is. So I just want you to understand how important this is, not to scare you. So thanks so much for tuning in. Click those links below, get my book and the free resources. Please like, subscribe, and share. I really appreciate it. We're just about to 750 or 3/4 of the way to the subscriber monetization threshold. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time. Take care.